Well, welcome everybody. We got a little topic today. I was visiting with one of our very dedicated EFT practitioners, OEFT practitioners, and EFT, Ann Ryan, who emailed me with a question. And it's a question I think a lot of people have, and so I'm going to bring Ann on, and Ann and I are going to talk about this. The question is, how do I know I'm doing it right? Okay. Hello, Ann.
Hi, Gary.
Well, let's start with this question. How do I know when I'm doing it right? Well, first of all, what is it? I assume we're talking about EFT or OEFT?
Particularly OEFT, connecting with the unseen therapist. That's the it.
Okay. Yeah. And I get that. Actually, I get that quite a bit, And now, are you getting that from your own clients themselves? Is it a question you have? Tell me about that.
It's a question I get a lot from clients who maybe I've worked with for a little while, and they like to do their own work with the unseen therapist, in between sessions, or practitioners that I work with who might be tapping practitioners, EFT tapping, and they're new to OEFT, and this is their kind of question: how do I know I'm doing it right?
Yeah.
So
okay.
I thought it would be an interesting one to hear your take on it, and I have some thoughts on it, and that's kind of where the question came from.
All right. Well, okay. My experience with newcomers to this idea, and I really understand this, there's somehow a built-in conditioning that goes on here that the client, the newcomer, seems to think, we're going to access God. We're going to bring in the unseen therapist, the spiritual realm. I got to do this right or it's not going to work. I mean, I've got to have a Hollywood moment. I've got to have angels, and I've got to have harps. I've got to have this warm, loving feeling all over the place, or it's not going to work. Now, am I echoing what you're hearing as well, or would you add to that somehow?
I would echo what you've said. I think it's people's self-doubt. And of course, we all come from various backgrounds. And if people have come with already a religious, maybe, or some sort of other background like that, I mean, that overlays onto, it's like, well, who do I think I am to be talking to, some spiritual realm being, unconditional love, whatever it is that we consider the unseen therapist to be. So, but there's a sense of being lesser than, or who do I think I am, or I couldn't possibly, or how do I know it's her voice and not mine? Lots of questions like that.
Well, we're going to get into some of that, but let me ask you that. You've been at this a while. I mean, you are one of our really dedicated students. You have lots of clients. You're getting lots of results and things like that. Okay. When you first started, were those questions kicking around in your head or not?
Not hugely, because in my EFT tapping work already, even though I wouldn't have spoken to clients about it, there was a very strong spiritual part there already. So this was a natural stepping stone. I mean, I've always, and I still have that discernment of, like, not just falling into the trap, oh, that's me getting in the way. But I've been doing this long enough that I know the difference between where it comes from, when it's the unseen therapist and when it's my ideas. I'm not saying I'm infallible. I'm always kind of eyes open, checking for it. But so no, I didn't struggle with it hugely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. But many people do, because they have this conditioning, and that's where the question arises from. And it's sort of, do I trust the process? Am I doing it right? And et cetera. And actually, it does take some experience to kind of get there. But this is really important. I wish we had a drum roll we could do here for the moment for this. Getting this ultimate Hollywood moment with the orchestra's playing is not necessary. Yeah. In fact, that's the kind of thing we're trying to aim towards eventually as you get better and better at this, okay? Or some piece of that maybe kind of thing. But in the interim, you don't need that at all. Here, the example I like to give is aspirin, okay? How do you know you have a headache, okay? And you take aspirin. How do you know the aspirin worked? You tell me, Ann.
The headache goes away.
Or it gets better or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you're swallowing the pill, the aspirin, you don't expect a Hollywood moment. You don't expect major love and fuzziness and all of that, or music or anything. Okay. You just swallow the pill. The headache is an 8 before and it's a 2 or 0 or something afterwards.
Yep.
That's how you know it worked.
Yes.
The same thing with the unseen therapist. We have an issue. We like to deal with specific events. That's part of our more advanced materials. Okay. That's the foundation under most of our issues. But we deal with a specific event. Oh, I think about that. I'm an 8 or I'm a 9 or whatever. We bring in unseen therapists. Whether or not we get all the warm fuzzies, when we're done, we check back in again. How is that memory, that event? I can't find it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how you know it worked.
Yes.
It's no different than the aspirin. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really good, tangible way of describing it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Now the folks listening in, I don't know if there's a good enough answer for them, because my experience is there's still this conditioning. And how do I trust this thing?
Yes.
Thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I have this thought. You tell me if this works or not. Okay. It's like, maybe the client might think, I have prayed before. I've been to church. I've been to spiritual things and whatever. And I've prayed and my prayer didn't get answered. At least not to my satisfaction anyway. So are we not in this circumstance praying to the spiritual essence? Are we not praying and asking for an answer? I think there's a conditioning in there someplace. And in fact, what we're doing is a form of prayer. We don't call it that so much, but it is. We're asking the spiritual realm, unseen therapist, our non-denominational name, for an answer to something. This hurts, or I get all worked up about that. Help me. And here comes some help. You got your prayer answered. Okay.
Yeah. Prayers
don't usually get answered that way. At least that's not the typical experience. Like, dear God, I want a better relationship. The one I have now doesn't work so well. Okay. Send me a better relationship. Well, I don't know anybody who can rely on that. And the next 10 minutes, somebody walks in the door. Okay.
Yeah.
No, there's more to it. There's more to it. And that gets down, I think, to what we're really doing here. We are communicating. We are learning to listen. I should say it differently. We are learning to listen to the ultimate wisdom. It's actually within us. Unseen therapist isn't really kind of out there someplace. She's a part of us. Always trying to guide. Always. We just aren't listening.
Yeah. And
so what we're doing here is we're trying to teach people, and ourselves, by the way, you and I get better and better at this, how to listen. Now that's me rattling on for a while. Am I on point?
I think so. I mean, everything you say kind of resonates. I'm a big believer in taking the pressure off people. And I think, you have often said, and I mean, it's goes beyond you saying it, but, where two people come together, where two or more are gathered, and I think that can be the thing of when we work with somebody. I mean, when we work with ourselves is another way of looking at it, but when we work with somebody else, like I love to say to people, it doesn't matter, there isn't a doing it right, but why don't we both close our eyes, go into, I call it the quiet space, go into the quiet space, you know, we know what we're going in for. And I would say, and if you just, nothing seems to be happening, just sit there, come to your heart, go back to your loving moment, just sit, close your eyes and enjoy the whatever. And in taking that pressure off, it's like we both open our eyes, and probably 90% of the time when I say, how was that? The person will respond with something, which isn't, oh, I got nothing. It's like, oh, well, yeah, I just realized, or yeah, I got a sense of, or something, a memory popped up, or whatever it might be. And I mean, we all live in a society where even the fact that there's a question of right and wrong, we've grown up with, oh, it's either right or it's wrong. Not, it's just okay as it is. So, I mean, it's kind of already loaded, isn't it? You know, just by being in this world, it's already kind of loaded. And if we can come to that place a little bit more of, well, it just is. It's not right. It's not wrong. It just is. So I love to do that. And then I find that when people have kind of like put their toe in the water a couple of times, with maybe without pressure, and maybe with somebody else, they're saying, it doesn't matter if nothing happened. Let me tell you, you know, the sense of what I got. And they go, oh, great. Well, I'm still progressing here regardless, you know, but without pressure. And then people realize very quickly, you know, I am getting a sense of something. It really is down to trusting ourselves. And I think if a product of being in this world is we learn to doubt our own self-trust because of many things, perhaps.
Well, we do tend to doubt that because we're not used to it. And part of what we're doing here is opening doors for people so they can get used to that which is built within anyway.
Yes.
We're just not recognizing it. You know.
Yeah.
You said something a little earlier about somebody would be using the unseen therapist or something, and they might get a notion here, they might get another memory, they might get a this, they might get a that. That's the unseen therapist typically at work. We don't tend to recognize. We tend to think, well, that was coincidence, or that was intuition, or it was a da, 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 da. No, the more you get into this, the more you recognize the unseen therapist is giving you these notions. You're not recognizing at the early stages yet of what's really going on and the power that's really going on, because all these warm fuzzies aren't happening you're expecting.
Yes.
That doesn't mean it's not happening in the background. This is a little bit off the point, but I'm remembering one of our OEFT course members has been working on her own issues. Her name is Karen. She's been working on her own issues for a long time, getting results, but never once included her husband in any of those self-applicable things. Okay. And her husband, and there's no explanation for this other than unseen therapist, had a foot problem. The padding on the bottom of his feet was gone, and so it was painful to walk. For 40 years, getting worse. Bingo, it got better.
Wow, yeah.
Okay, now we can't prove that her work on herself had a bigger result beyond herself. But if we're paying attention to it, we'll start seeing those bigger results. There are bigger things going on, but they don't have trumpets and drums going on.
Yeah, they're more subtle.
Yeah. But I don't know what's so subtle about somebody's 40-year foot problem going away. But one day, gee, what happened to my feet? You know.
Yes.
You know, kind of thing. So anyway, I don't know if we have anything more to talk about this. How do I know I'm doing it right? It's like the aspirin, you know, you just do it. And I will say this, you do it, the tendency, I think, and tell me if this isn't what you see as well, Anne. The tendency is for the newcomer. Well, yeah, I had this specific event, and it gets to me. Now we're done with the unseen therapy. We did an unseen therapist session, and well, I'm not really getting worked up about it. But people tend to think, well, it was coincidence. Well, we got lucky. Well, all my past therapy finally worked. Okay. or whatever, because it is admittedly difficult for someone to buy, because to use your term, you don't trust yet. But you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And maybe you don't get results every time, but you get results often enough and often enough and often enough. After a while, your trust begins to build. And incidentally, the possibilities of getting warm feelings and Hollywood moments, you may get one or two, okay, but they're not required to get results.
Yes. Beautiful.
Anything else you want to mention about all this, Anne?
No, I think that's it. I think, I mean, there's lots to say, but no, I think that covers, how do I know I'm doing it right? Just do it and assume you're doing it right.
And look at the before and after.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So our listening audience, please check out the essential links at the bottom below this video, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Anne.